lot of major providers have actually defaulted to, if they can't 100% verify the information, sharing nothing, which is creating more and more false negatives.
That's scary. So I could screen a murderer and not know they're a murderer. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I am joined, as usual, by Seamus, our CEO. Hey, Seamus.
John, how we doing?
Doing pretty good. And today we're going to talk about a topic very near and dear to all small landlords' hearts, hopefully, and that's tenant screening, and specifically inaccurate tenant screening reports.
Yeah, it's something, John, I've been talking about quite a bit recently. And you'd think with information being more widely available, these screening reports would just naturally get more and more accurate.
Right.
But while information is more widely available, meaning you can hit the database of criminal records in Miami and then in Chicago and then in Portland, what's happening is legislation and actually consumer protection laws, which generally I think are quite positive, are scaring a lot of the providers out of giving over all the information. And so a lot of major providers have actually defaulted to, if they can't 100% verify the information, sharing nothing, which is creating more and more false negatives.
What's in a screening report?
Well, typically when you're talking screening reports, you're talking about a credit report, criminal, and then eviction. And what's in these reports often change based on what's legally available for the location of the property.
I see. Okay. So which ones are different?
So any number of them can change. In some places, eviction reports are legal. Some places, an eviction is not going to be returned. The length of criminal records often changes. And those are the big things that change. Your availability of like a credit score is fairly consistent regardless of where in the country the property is located.
Okay, so I can trust that the screening reports, or generally trust the screening reports credit score, but that eviction and criminal, there's some legislation related to it that might change what I see.
Exactly. And the provider you use, such as if you use TurboTenant, we're actually going to filter it so you're only getting the information legally available to utilize to make a decision on a tenant based on that property.
So I won't see in Oakland, for instance, eviction history.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. How does it get criminal history?
So criminal is challenging, right? You have a bunch of different criminal databases all over the country at the county level, the state level. They're not all unified. And so one of the challenges with the criminal reports, and a reason that we found that innovation has been really slow to criminal records over the last decade, is a challenge is you got to bring all of these reports together, right?
Yeah.
If you used to live in Portland and you racked up quite the criminal rep there, I'm sure, and then you move to Denver, your criminal record doesn't necessarily follow you, right? Despite what they say in elementary school that your record will follow you forever. It doesn't necessarily talk to each other.
Okay.
Right. And so what happens because of that is if it gets murky as to what criminal records are associated with a given person, a lot of the major providers are actually defaulting to showing no criminal record.
It won't even show like question mark next to the criminal record?
Not even question mark. So because of that, false negatives are more prevalent. And that's where the major providers are incentivized to actually cover themselves, right? So they don't face lawsuits by not sharing that information that they may not be 100% certain of.
Okay. That's scary. So I could screen a murderer and not know they're a murderer.
Exactly.
Okay. Yikes. So is there a solution here beyond a national database?
Well, the good news is there are new companies actually popping up that are trying to innovate in this area.
Okay.
And the technology shift and advancements in LLMs specifically has allowed some companies to actually create a higher degree of certainty on this murky data that they would be coming from a bunch of the different criminal databases. Meaning they can look at a John Martin here, John Martin here, John Martin here, John Martin here, and they can pull that data together with a higher degree of certainty than a lot of the legacy providers, and then they show that data to you.
Okay. So in that case, I would screen a murderer named John Martin and I'd know they're a murderer.
You would know that they're a murderer.
Good to know. Okay, so there's some hope here. Very cool. Are there any specific companies you'd recommend?
Well, things are definitely looking up. I'd always point to TurboTenant. We've continually tested different vendors in the industry to try to find the ones we believe are the most accurate. and make changes from a product standpoint to direct there. It is really hard as an individual landlord to validate the accuracy of the software they're using, whether that's the individual provider or the actual report that they're getting. We've gone out of our way at TurboTenant to try to ensure accuracy of these reports and to partner with the best possible providers to show accurate reports. And then I think the other piece is make sure that the product you're using is able to share that report with the tenant as well, so that the tenant knows what they're seeing. So if the wrong John Martin has the wrong criminal record, there's actually a way for that feedback loop to come through and be fixed.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Good for the tenant too.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for this education session, Seamus. I really appreciate it.
It was fun, John.
So fun. He hates me.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping.